11 teams now out on the water. Remember, New Zealand unable to go because of the incident they had earlier this year, and now we just heard from Lisa down on the water that Sweden will not be able to participate today as they have craned out, and they will try to fix that and be ready for tomorrow on Super Sunday. So 1 minute to go. Hannah, where do you want to be as you look at the winds out here? It's going to be very tricky.
Yeah, it's going to be tricky, but it's a great day for racing out in the Great Sound in Bermuda. I think the boats are going to be lining up, learning a little bit about the race course in this first race, but they've got to prioritize that start and try and get to Mark 1 as fast as possible.
All right, Stevie, this is the dance, the calm before the storm. You want to get a great start here on race number 1. It's all about accumulating points. 4 races today, and we now approach 30 seconds to go before the start of the first race.
Yeah, on board Mubadala Brazil here as they come in towards the start line. Well positioned at the moment. They look like they're towards the downwind end of the line. They're actually in the middle of the fleet there. We see the Brazilian boat. Emirates GBR a little bit back, as of France. They're going to look to wind it up. Top of the line, the Rolex Pole Predictor sits on board Canada. If they get their timing right here, they could really have some speed to Mark 1. Midline, Rockwell, Denmark. Bottom of the line, Germany. They're going to line things up. We're looking for the line to turn white and find out which team's going to nail this first start here in Bermuda. United States out of the top of the line. What a start by Canfield, but he's going to have to be brave on this first leg to Mark 1 if they want to lead. Can they roll around the top of Rockwell, Denmark?
We just, the boy, press. Turn up, you'll be clear ahead.
And as they approach mark number 1, they go 3 wide with Lady Liberty out in front. The Americans will get the whole shot in race 1.
Oh, North Star as well and Rockwell, Denmark, two of the teams that need a huge event here in Bermuda. Great start by the United States. Canfield, he's been the starting king this season and he nailed that start. North Star head towards the boundary. They'll be looking to line things up.
And getting close to stand by.
Gate 2 is going to come pretty quick in these conditions, Todd, but it's going to be about executing perfect manoeuvres. These are easy conditions to sail the F50, but you've got to push the boats to the edge if you want to be fast enough here.
So, Hannah, does that dispel the rumor that Taylor Canfield and the U.S. are just light wind specialists?
Yeah, I think they've got a little bit to prove this weekend to make sure that that's not the case, but a really great start from them. And like Stevie said, the execution this weekend needs to be really high. Relatively easy conditions to sail the boat, so they've got to be 100%.
Leg 2 of 7. It's the USA, North Star Canada, then Rockwell, Denmark, Germany, Deutsche Bank. The Australians, the winners of the last event, currently sit in 5th, and the defending champions from last year, Emirates GBR, are in 6th.
We're going to learn a lot about the course on this first upwind leg. Imagine the USA are going to want to go straight if they can. Yeah, they keep it simple. We'll see the first boats to split away. North Star, good call to follow there. Try and keep some space. It'll be Germany, Deutsche Bank, the first boat to turn right. Find out where more windmills on the course, I'd imagine, after that. But there's a lot of teams that need a good result or in that first 4 boats there. Canadian fans, well, it's been a long time since they've seen the front of the fleet. They'll be loving that.
Stevie, is this a course where there's passing opportunities? We talk about that a lot. Some courses, if you don't get the lead at the start, you got no shot.
Yeah, I mean, this is an awesome course, Todd. It's a little bit bigger. You can really stretch your legs. You can get some boat speed. Hannah's going to be able to sort of really give us an idea of the speeds and the setups of the boat out there. And I think what we saw in practice yesterday is there are some shifts. You see the darker patches on the water. I mean, it's Bermuda, isn't it? So it looks like it's all turquoise and perfect. But occasionally, when the camera angle comes right, you see the darker patch on the water and the boats can find more wind. And right at the minute, Hannah, it looks like there's more breeze out where the Canadians are.
Yeah, it does, definitely on that right-hand side of the course, top of the screen. But I think it looked like the Germans had to stretch quite a long way to make that right turn.
Penalty GBR, port tack boat not keeping clear, go behind Spain.
Emirates GBR made an early maneuver on this upwind leg, and so now they get a penalty, have to drop behind Los Gallos, Spain, and they did not need that as they will drop back now into 6th place. Let's go down on the water, Lisa Darman. And Lisa, you had a chance to be out on the water yesterday. Where is the favorite part of this course, and do you like where the Americans are sailing?
Down speed.
Yeah, where the Americans are sailing, they're just kind of, in front of them there's an island and the wind is funneling around the island, but they're on the good side of the island at the moment where the wind is able to sort of pump through. So they're really nicely lined up for this gate. But you know, one thing out here, everyone's sailing the F50s to the full potential, not making that many mistakes. So if you're out in front, it is just so much easier. So amazing to see the Americans just absolutely commanding this race.
Stevie, is this what you call glamour racing?
That's what you call pretty much perfect, don't you, Todd? I think what's interesting so far is all the boats that can towards the front of the fleet have really stretched wide to the boundary early on, and that means as they get towards the top of the course, they're closer to the land, the wind will be a little bit shiftier.
Very puffy right now, just watch the can, very puffy.
There you go, Tom Johnson doing it for me there. Very puffy, just means it's changing direction and pressure quite a lot as they get near the line. Germany here, Germany, Deutsche Bank have done a nice job. They've gained slight miss in that manoeuvre there by the US. Nothing too disastrous, but you see that white plume of water. They touched down, got a little slow, but they're going to wind the speed up here. So Germany, Deutsche Bank kept out of phase with the leaders. They're up to second. They've passed North Star.
And at gate 3, it is still the US SailGP team. Germany Deutsche Bank has now moved in second place. The Australians have dropped back a little bit as they will split the course. North Star Canada, good position, as is Rockwell Denmark.
Todd, I love where the Australians are going, though. You split the course, you get out of phase. I feel like the Germans were out of phase on that upwind, Hannah, weren't they?
Yeah, they were, and it didn't look like initially it was going to work, but I think, like you say, getting out of phase, having the space to sail the boat really nicely can pay massive dividends in these conditions.
Yeah, just I threw in the word phase around there. I think ultimately what we're talking about is if some of the boats are going right to left, you're going left to right. You're sort of opposite to them. The wind is varying out here, but what's key is you can push the boat to the absolute limit. They say, Todd, if you're not right on the edge, you're taking up too much space, and you've got to be on the edge today.
Stevie, let's talk about where Germany Deutsche Bank is right now. How much disturbed air are they getting right now, and do you think they're already talking about splitting the course and going away from where the Americans go at this next gate?
Yeah, I think right now they'll be just, well, as they drop down to their line, they might be getting a little bit of disturbed wind. They'll be getting more and more as they come down. They're in a big gust of wind. You see that dark patch there they're in right now, so they're actually going pretty quick. They'll decide what, depending on what US do. If US goes straight, I imagine Germany might do a right turn and look to find some space.
Turning up.
Oh, they're going to follow them.
They do follow. There you go. Keep it simple, stupid. That was the answer to that one. I guess early on in the race, they obviously like what they see with the left turn. They're going to follow. They'll be happy to take a second.
And Hannah, if you're the Americans, if it ain't broke, why fix it? Because this is the same course they took to open things up. They're going the same path. They must like what they're seeing as far as the numbers go on that side of the course.
Yeah, and I think this weekend's going to be a little bit about really minimizing maneuvers, mapping your way around the course. We can see on the screen now there's a different color of arrows, so that yellow arrows means there's slightly more wind than the kind of greeny bluey colors, so it gives us an indication of how much pressure is on the course where the boats are.
Pressing.
On board the Bonds Flying Ruse, a tense moment there as Spain has to dip behind to avoid that collision, and the Australians are back in 7th place with Los Gallos in 6th.
Spain, behind. I have him.
They'll get a penalty, the Australians there. Spain have kept clear of Rockwell Denmark for me on that incident. But yeah, Australia tacked. They turned the boat onto port. We see this here. Spain are coming around the mark. There go the Bonds Flying Ruse on our replay, bottom right-hand corner. And you see the dramatic change of direction. Now, sometimes we call that Hollywood overacting, but I don't think there was too much acting from Diego there.
Your boat here?
So back to live racing action. Race number 1, we are scheduled for 4 today. This is like 5 of 7. It's the USA just under 100-meter lead over Germany Deutsche Bank, North Star Canada. Their driver, Giles Scott, Olympic gold medalist, currently sitting in 3rd.
Yeah, and I think the teams will be looking to set up a left turn at the top if they can. That should mean they get an easy downwind angle. Americans will be happy. We're talking about phasing. Right now they're in the same phase. They're both going the same direction. Emirates GBR, they're finding a bit of space, but this late in the race, you've got to love the US position, Anne.
Yeah, definitely, and I think last time they actually made a bit of a mistake in that they really slowed the boat down to try and make that right turn. This time they want to commit to that left so they can just sail fast, but some unforced errors coming on board the US team there.
So the Rolex chase time right around 6 seconds as they make this maneuver. This will be the final one before gate number 5. USA SailGP team currently 3rd overall in the standings, and they have the lead here in the first race of the day.
Yeah, North Star are coming in here. They're going to be well set, but they've got to get just across in front of Germany. I don't think North Star will do it. Tricky tactical moment for them. They'll look to go right at the top. Beautifully judged by Giles Scott and the team there. They're going to split away. They will come back towards the German team with the right of way, but more manoeuvres to be done by Canada on this downwind leg.
Look at the speed of the Americans. They were sitting at 35 kilometers an hour just moments ago. They catch that wind as they go through the gate, and now they're over 70.
Let's keep an eye on it if it's coming upwind.
Last downwind leg towards the turning mark before the finish here. You can see Andrew Campbell, right-hand side of our screen. He's looking out where the course is there, trying to keep an eye on things. Set up for the manoeuvre. Now, you've got to just nail this manoeuvre, Taylor, and this is the race win coming in here.
And turning. And yours. Fine. Oh, fast, yeah, let's get going. Yeah, nice.
Interesting to see how North Star Canada comes back across here. They've manoeuvred a little bit earlier, so they must have got to that boundary a little bit quicker, but they're coming back in quite nice pressure from the top of the screen there.
Yeah, they have the right of way here as well. They've got, look, top of the mast there, 75 kilometres an hour versus 70 on Germany, so they've got a fast mode on North Star. They're wound up. They will have an extra manoeuvre to do. Good shift, good pressure for North Star. Chance for an overtake.
Happy to slowly roll down. Mark is up 45. Copy.
Here we go. Canada have got to nail this. If they've got to stay ahead, they have the right of way now. And
Here we go.
Oh, he's putting the pressure. Germany have got to keep clear. You've got to keep clear, Germany. Surely too little, too late by Germany. Deutsche Bank. Aggressive manoeuvring by Giles Scott on board the Canadian boat. Classic match race manoeuvre.
Good job.
And race number 1, tense moments at the end here at the Great Sound, but the first race of the day here at the Apex Group Bermuda Sail Grand Prix goes the way of the Stars and Stripes. USA SailGP win the first race here on day 1.
How are we going to get out of
Okay,
here?
now I think rules-wise, North Star Canada will have got the right of way there, but because it's a lead change penalty, the penalty would have gone on and off instantly, so that's why we haven't seen it go up there. We haven't heard anything from the umpires, but I think that's because the penalty just goes on and off. Great work by Giles Scott, aggressive.
So Germany will have to settle for 3rd place. 4th will go to Los Cayos, Spain. Red Bull Italy in a tight one right now with Emirates GBR. And look at this, Dylan Flesher pushing Phil Roberts and the Italians wide as Emirates GBR will pick up 5th.
Todd, points matter so much. Single points when we get to the end of the qualification series tomorrow. Absolutely crucial, and that one place for Emirates GBR could be massive. Spain as well. They work their way all the way back up to 4th. Simple, excellent execution.
That's all we could have done there. We sailed clean.
So the Swiss will settle for 10th place. Remember, we are down to 11 boats with the retirement of Artemis, and of course, the Black Foils unable to go because their boat's still under repair.
Left turn. Gonna tack around the mark.
Yeah, the Swiss
Turning
boat.
here.
Bit of new livery on there. Sponsored by Explorer there on the wing sail for the Swiss team. Good to see, but they'll be looking for a bit of a change in results, unfortunately.
Happy to take it down here. Happy to take it down.
And Martini Grail and Brazil come across the line. So race number 1 is now complete. 1 minute to go before the start of race number 2 here on the Great Sound. It's Australia, the first ones to report for duty. The Americans sit in the middle of the pack, winners of the first race. Remember, it was USA, Canada, Germany, your top 3 finishers in race number 1. And it's all about points here in SailGP.
Yeah, we're on board the Spanish boat coming back to the start here, Todd. Look at how fast the action is in this pre-start. Split-second decisions here. There we can see the US team. They've been the absolute start masters so far this season. Emirates GBR, they switch it up. They're going to split from the fleet, trying to find that space. They're late into the box. Time to manoeuvre back, Emirates GBR. Okay, Dylan, there they're turning right. They're pressing from there, I think. USA, mid-line, well positioned again. Somehow found space amongst the carnage. Bottom of the line, Rockwell, Denmark. Mubadala, Brazil move through. Right, now they wind it up. Now we've got 9 seconds to go. They're blasting already at full speed towards the line. 5 seconds to go. 3, 2, 1, and we go on race 2 here in Bermuda. That's absolute perfection from the USA again, but he's got Slingsby on the inside. Can they roll over the top of the Australian team before Mark 1? It's a pure drag race.
We'll be inside. Denmark will be inside.
What a start that was, Todd.
I was going to say, if you liked race number 1, race number 2 is even better. This time 4 wide as they approach mark number 1, and it looks like it will be the Bonds Flying Roos, the winners of the last event in Rio, that get the whole shot.
Oh, that was Hans Henken versus Jason Waterhouse, the 2 flight controllers. Who would be bravest? Waterhouse held on the inside. Bonds Flying Roos are gone. How can they execute from here?
And 4 down and 2, 1 board. And turning.
Looks like the breeze is up a little bit from that first race there, so that will change kind of the geometry of the course a little bit, and it does look like it'll be easier to get that one manoeuvre into that left turn.
Oh, Canada had a mismanoeuvre there, Todd. They've gone outside boundary. There'll be a penalty. They looked a bit scrappy. They got rushed into their manoeuvre. Yeah, they've got to lose 20 metres here. You've got to turn up towards the wind, sail a bit of extra distance. Top of screen, Los Cayos. They found some space in the pack, and they've got good pressure. Emirates GBR, this is going to be a tussle of a race here. We've got the big players all at the front of the fleet here. Australia are going to turn left, I think, Todd, but who's going to split in the pack?
So here we go, gate number 2, the DP World Gate. It is the Bonds Flying Rouge, the overall leaders on the series right now. They are going to opt for the left-hand side, and this is where it gets a little chaotic.
Yeah, it's going to be a complex mover for Emirates GBR. They're going to have to do a double board drop. North Star Canada have got to give them room. They're going to go around the outside. Rockwell split the course here. Rockwell... Oh, going to tap some space. North Star now gain the right of way over Emirates GBR. It's messy on board the British boat at gate 2.
Can't lift that board. We've got the Canadians on us. Press, reset. Yeah.
Oh, you could hear the
And they
frustration in
both
Dylan's
holes in the
voice.
water.
Yeah. They just got slow. They got slow into the mark, and then they had to do a manoeuvre, and they're going to go from 4th all the way back to potentially 8th, 9th. Australia are down the road. They're chased by Taylor Canfield again. The US team there going seriously quick.
Going up, please. Sorry.
Get a bit of an idea of some of these teams lining up. We know it's a high execution day, but some of this boat speed, this lane holding is really important. You've got to hold your place on the course if you want to manoeuvre out of the boundaries really well.
Yeah, and I think what we saw yesterday was, for the viewers at home, I think when you're watching this, if you watch Australia here, you see how the boat slightly tipped towards the side that's not got a foil in. They're heeling the boat to windward is what we say. That just generates a bit more horsepower, a bit more pace, but it puts you that bit closer to the edge.
There is the current situation here in race number 2. It is the Bonds Flying Rouge. They have the lead. Remember, they finished 8th in race number 1, so they're in a little bit of recovery mode for a team that clean sweep Super Sunday back in Rio. The USA still holding on to 2nd place. Rockwell, Denmark in 3rd, and Los Gaios there lurking in 4th.
Confidence is a funny thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because if you think of Emirates GBR, they looked unplayable, and you could just hear the frustration in Dylan's voice, and I think he sounded so calm for the last 6, 7, 8 months. And first chink in Rio, and a little error there. It'll be interesting to watch this British boat, hear if they can calm things back down again.
Nice headed there, Dylan. Yeah, gonna have to be past this.
It sounds a lot calmer now, doesn't it? A good reset on board that British boat. I expect him to be able to work back through the fleet, but it is not easy in these conditions. Here we go, right of way, Rockwell, Denmark. United States have got to keep clear. Another couple of manoeuvres to do for the US team here. They've got to be clear of the Spanish. They spin the boat in front, and let's imagine these first few boats will all keep it quite simple.
So around gate number 3, it's the Bonds Flying Rouge. There is their lead as the clock begins, and then it is Rockwell, Denmark. Nikolai Sehested dropping right in front of Taylor Canfield and the Americans, and then is Los Gaios, Spain, lurking in 4th.
Yeah, I think a huge day for the Rockwell Denmark team, really. Much like North Star, not had the start to the season they'd like, but they're really showing some good form back here. Lisa, we're seeing all the boats turn left at the top. Are you starting to see a pattern in where you'd want to be on this racetrack?
Yeah, especially at the top of the course where they are now. There's a really nice gust of wind that's sort of sitting here. The wind is changing slightly, so there is a little bit of opportunity to take your option. It also looks like it's maybe a little bit favoured, that left turn, so you sail less distance. In the end, today's less about the shifts and more about making sure you're in the best pressure around the course.
So it is Explora Switzerland, Germany Deutsche Bank, Mubadala Brazil, and Red Bull Italy that opt for the other side of the course. Meanwhile, Australia, Denmark, the USA, and Spain, they have all but checked out.
Yeah, I mean, that was a slow moment.
Pressing the wing, please.
Oh, it sounds like someone on the boat's maybe been pressing some buttons that aren't quite working. He's such technical craft, and as soon as you get a bit out of sync, things can get pretty wrong. Australia there, Bonds Flying Rouge, well, they've stretched their legs on that downwind. Look at that, they're already at the bottom of the course. Not their best work on that round up, but they're going to bring it home to the finish.
And the Bonds Flying Rouge swing it around. They've got the lead. They'll make their way back up the course. Rockwell, Denmark sits in 2nd place. Now the USA splitting the course with Los Gaios, Spain, the Season 4 champions.
Yeah. See the quality of that roundup. Lovely roundup by the US boat. Stay dry there, Spain. They've been brilliant at the bottom. Look at that again. Look, fast in, wide in, tight out. Proper racing car turn. Now the Los Gaios have control of the situation. Their bottom mark roundings have been absolutely perfect today. Nearly gained a boat every time they've done it. Pure accuracy. Just seriously good round that mark, Hannah.
Yeah, they're making it look pretty easy, and we know that that's definitely not the case on board. But I think one of the reasons we're seeing quite a lot of boundary penalties on this race course is because it means you can eliminate a manoeuvre from each of those legs. So it's even more important that you get a good exit of these mark roundings because it impacts the whole of the rest of that leg.
This is like 5 of 7, race number 2. We've got 2 more races to go. We can update you that France has had an injury on board, so they have had to retire. We'll get you more information on that. Sweden had boat damage prior to the start of race number 1, and of course New Zealand still waiting for their boat to be completely fixed after their incident earlier this year. So we are now down to 10 national teams competing here on day number 1 of the Apex Group Bermuda Sail Grand Prix.
And turning.
Bond's flying Rouge well ahead here. Look at this Spain, you see. They executed that manoeuvre at the bottom mark perfectly. They're at top of our screen there in a drag race out with the US team, but that was a brilliant, brilliant mark rounding. Everyone thinks of just, turn round a mark. We think of it as basic, don't we? But if you do the basics well, you can absolutely gain places, and that's what it's all about today.
The Italians having problems, Stevie. They are just drifting in the water, holding down 10th place. That moves Bermuda, Brazil into 9th. So obviously,
you guys have got the tech services trying to figure this out as well.
Okay, Phil Robertson reaching out to the shore crew. Tech services, they'll be on board as soon as this race ends. But it is Australia making quick work of the rest of the fleet, Stevie. This looks like the Bons Flying Rouge that we saw on Super Sunday in Brazil.
Yeah, they look really solid. They're sailing the boat very well. They didn't have a great start in race 1, to be perfectly honest. We've got a lot of heel on board Rockwool Denmark there, and 2 foils in the water seems a fairly unconventional manoeuvre here by Rockwool Denmark.
4-point foil. So put the board back down on this side. You should have brake control again.
Oh wow, Tom Johnson's a round-the-world sailor, so he's used to problem solving on the fly. That sounded quite incredible. What is it, North Star? Talking about incredible, they found a good wind shift on the upwind leg here, and they've managed to make a jump ahead of the Spanish. Great work by Giles Scott. Consistency's key, and we know Rockwool have got a problem. They're having to sail in a slightly hamstrung way on this downwind leg. They will be slow. Can they somehow nurse it to the finish?
So the Danes will try to nurse this thing home on the final leg, 6 of 7, as North Star Canada turns away.
Oh, they've managed to get the board back up.
Yep.
I mean, we'll find out. That sounded like Tom Johnson. Well, he's an engineer as well as a wing trimmer, because somehow they problem solved that on the downwind.
He fully MacGyvered that at 70 kilometers an hour.
Yeah.
At the turn, it is the Bons Flying Rouge, deja vu all over again, just like in Brazil, but this time on the great sound as the Bons Flying Rouge bring it home for the Emirates winning moment as they take race 2.
Yeah, it's going to be a big, tight moment when we get to the final turning mark as well, with, as we see here, North Star Canada are potentially going to be slow. Spain coming in like an absolute rocket here. They're going to be so fast. They've got to give room to North Star Canada, but they could be down. North Star have got to...
I'm completely flapping you.
Oh, you've got to Spain. You needed to see that earlier. They could have given more space early there, and they've fallen off the foils. I'm staggered. I thought they were going to execute that perfectly. Looks like Rockwool have nailed it, and now it's a sprint. Looks like the Spanish will get to 3rd.
So Denmark holds on to 2nd place, and Spain once again picks up a spot into 3rd.
Oh, and you just saw the North Star Canada boat submarine across the line. That was brilliant by the Spanish. They sort of set that up early on the downwind leg. They're fast. Wow, that was intense as we see the round up there on board Emirates GBR. Take a look at it. There's a lot of action out here. I think the flat water's a little bit deceptive as to how much wind there is on the racetrack. The boats are pushing really hard.
I like to think Dylan Fletcher just giving the fans a little bit of a show. So Emirates GBR will get 7th place. Dropping back from where they got 5th in race number 1. It is Germany Deutsche Bank that gets 6th, and it is a Swiss that will take 8th. Explorer Switzerland comes across the line once again in 8th place, so they move up 2 positions from 10th, and then it is Mubadla Brazil in 9th.
I'll just put it down here,
Wow, what a race. A little something for everyone. Great starts, 4 wide at mark number 1, and what a finish. The Bons Flying Rouge check out, and then the scrap was on for positions 2, 3, and 4. All right, so we are now 1:45 away from the start of race number 3. Remember, we've got 4 fleet races today. Then we'll have 3 more tomorrow. Plus, we'll have the event final where only the top 3 teams will battle it out. So, Hannah, what you've seen in the first 2 races with the wind conditions, what we've heard from Lisa down in the water, where would you want to be in the start box if you were driving one of these boats?
Well, I think from the last 2 starts, we've seen that top or bottom of the line isn't the be-all and end-all in this race setup, but you've got to be fast and you've got to be getting your bow out in front. So not only do you have to get your time and distance right, you also have to be prepared to push really hard to get to Mark 1 ahead.
Stevie, I gotta love me some parity in this league, because in race number 1, the top 3 teams completely different than the top 3 teams that won in race number 2. So it doesn't matter where you are, it's how you finish, as we've got 1 minute to go and this all-important third race, the penultimate race here with one more still to go.
Yeah, I mean, if you can say there's easy conditions, in some ways today's it. You know, you can get on the foil easily, the water's flat, it's not that gusty, there's a few opportunities, so all the teams can really sail the boat well. What I've been sized about is how the teams have been misjudging this turn back to the line. USA have turned quite early here. Canfield's been the master at it. I think it's the sort of day where you can trust the software, trust the data the boat's giving you. There's not a lot to change that. Wind's fairly steady. Out the back, it's the Bonds Flying Ruse. They're going to hope to come in hot. Los Gallos are out the back as well. North Star Canada have got some space. Giles Scott seems to have solved the puzzle. He's got a bit of space at the top of the line. Bonds Flying Rue come diving through down the line. Los Gallos are diving down the line. Now it's about the wind-up. 12 seconds to go. Red Bull Italy turn towards the line, but are they too early? They might be a little early on Red Bull Italy. There could be a possible shutout at the top of the line here. North Star, too risky by North Star, too risky.
This is the umpires. Early start penalty. Canada, Italy, Germany.
It's going to be the Bonds Flying Ruse out the middle of the line. They've got the speed. It's a drag race between them and Los Gallos. Los Gallos are pushing so hard to hang on the inside. Right of way, Los Gallos. Surely there's more penalty to come for North Star Canada after that. And it's a sprint now. Australia will lead.
So for the second race in a row, mark number 1 belongs to the Australians as they push nearly 100 kilometers an hour.
Yeah, I can see Rockwell Denmark got shot out at the top of the line toward that start line. They all got a bit early and suddenly the door was getting shut towards the top. Look at the G-force there. Tash Bryant and Ian Johnson on the right-hand side of our screen. Hanging on here. They're away, they've gapped out a little bit. We see top of the screen there, we can see Germany, Deutsche Bank are a little back in the pack, but they found some space. Emirates GBR, they've got space too. All the boats will be lining up and pretty desperate to get that left turn if you can now.
Yeah, I think if you're in the middle of the pack here, so if Bonds Flying Ruse is easy, there's no decision here, it's left turn. If you're Mubadala Brazil, if you're US, if you're Explorer Swiss or Emirates GBR, it's much more difficult to pick a clean path and the correct mark.
So let's follow the leader out on the Great Sound, and right now that leader is the Bonds Flying Ruse. Winners of the last event, winners of the last race. Can they make it 2 in a row? They'll make the left-hand turn, they'll take the Spanish with them.
Yeah, and Swiss are going to take a left turn. They're going to be slow here. Another perfect rounding by the Spanish on that left turn. Gained on Australia there. Mubadala Brazil, great job here. Martini Grail spins the boat around gate 2. Nice manoeuvre by the Brazilian team there. They're up in the pack. Emirates GBR, it's a little bit ragged, but they've made a gain. Cut the inside on the US team. Dylan Fletcher's moving back through the pack.
The Brits, the defending champions from season 5, they need a big performance here if they have any designs on making Super Sunday's event final.
Yeah, interesting. We can see in the Oracle cloud here, bottom left of our screen, Mubadala Brazil have actually got 3-4 kilometers an hour more wind than the Australians. Oh, they've gone out of bounds. They've pushed too wide there. They've tried to stretch it, but they're going to pay a penalty. 20 meters going to get lost for them here. Costly error for the Brazilian team there, but they did find more wind. Clearly, Lisa, there are opportunities out on this course to find more breeze. What are you seeing down on the race course?
Yeah, I really feel like this pattern's emerging, but there are these sort of pulses of breeze that are coming through, so you really got to look up the course. The nice thing about Bermuda, with the weather like it is, it's awesome to be able to actually read the wind. It's a lot easier than some of the conditions. So, yeah, this is just epic racing. It's so close, and no mistakes allowed or someone will pounce.
No mistakes allowed. Easier said than done, Tom. You're going to see a manoeuvre here. Ian Jensen spinning across the boat. He's going to go and look to set up that wing sheet. There you go. He picks up the rope. Boat turns. Left-hand side of screen. Tash Bryant. She's now steering the boat as Slingsby gets up to cross. Just Jason Waterhouse to the right-hand side. He's still flying the boat. Slingsby takes control of the flight. Jason Waterhouse leaves. Perfect manoeuvre by the Bonds Flying Ruse.
Hannah, for someone that's been on these boats, the choreography of the changeover has got to be almost perfect.
Yeah, that's absolutely everything. I mean, you cannot sail these boats. You won't get around the course if everyone's not completely in sync, and that can be the difference between first and last, first and second. On a day like today, you have to be so in sync to nail these maneuvers.
So another boundary penalty, this time to Red Bull Italy and Phil Robertson. Stevie, is it the course speed tight, or is the speeds they're traveling at that everything's coming at them so much faster?
Well, Hannah nailed it. If you can be a bit wide on the course, you'll save yourself later on. So they try and push the rules. They try and get what you might call a professional foul, a cheap penalty. They say, oh, it's going to cost us 20 metres from chief umpire. Emirates GBR, right-hand side of the screen, dip behind there. That was really tight. Hannah Mills, she's on the right-hand side there steering to judge these crosses.
Look at this.
It's so tight in the pack. There's such a tight racetrack. USA have got to keep clear. Wow, that was tight. Canfield pushing it. Emirates GBR do make the mark, but they're off the foils. They're going to be slow. They're going to be real slow here. Mubadala Brazil spins around the outside, and Explorer Swiss, they're up and running. Bottom right-hand corner of our screen. Great job by Sepp Schneider. They're right in the game here. But the class of the fleet, Los Gallos and the Bons Flying Rouge, look at that. Leagues apart right now.
So does the Bons Flying Rouge, the winners of the last race. They have the lead. Los Gallos, Spain, they sit in second place. And then, as Stevie pointed out, a huge gap back to third and fourth place with the Swiss and the Brazilians. And the Americans, Stevie, have fallen off that last gate. They went so very wide. And how about this action at the other end of the course?
Yeah, Bons Flying Rouge got to keep clear. We will have a split here. Los Gallos get the favoured side. Tactical brilliance from Botin here. He turns left first. Can see good pressure on the Bons Flying Rouge. I mean, to me at the moment, these are the two best fleets in the boat. Punching, punching, punching. This is an absolute championship fight.
Got two gold medalists going at it right now with Diego Botin and Tom Slingsby. Stevie, this was your pick coming into this weekend. You thought the Spanish just had this place on lock.
Yeah, I think in these flat water conditions, Joel Rodriguez, the flight controller on board that Spanish boat. Oh, it's a tight moment there. Germany and the USA, middle of the screen. Ooh, Eric Kyle, wow, he knows how to push it. It'd be interesting to see if there's any more to hear about that. I think he was just about clear ahead, but yes, just think Joel Rodriguez, the flight controller, he's right in that top drawer. Luke Parkinson, Jason Waterhouse, that conversation for the best flight controllers in the business. Joel's absolutely in there, and in this flat water, I think he really, really specialises in pushing the boat super high.
I think you can feel just how the intensity of the racing stepped up a little bit. Breeze is up to almost 30 kilometers an hour now, just making the boats a little bit faster, a little bit harder to control. So getting those maneuvers on point is just going to be that tiny bit harder.
I think we're across.
Constant conversations here in the penultimate race of the day. Remember, we've got one more fleet race to go. We're missing Sweden. Artemis, unfortunately, had damage to their boat before the racing started. They are out. And then, of course, France with the injury to Glenn Ashby. We'll try to get you an update on that as well, as New Zealand's boat not ready. So 13 becomes 10. We go down in the water. Lisa, the water and the weather conditions, are they going to stay the same for races 3 and 4?
Yeah, we're expecting it to stay the same, but considering how flat water it is, it's not that windy, how many people are having issues, it's really surprising. It just goes to show how much everyone's just pushing.
And no question about it, as we take a look at the Rolex chasing time, it is now Australia trying to track down the Spanish. And Stevie, it looks like they're almost dead even.
Yeah, it's pretty tight. I mean, it depends if Australia can make it to the left turn. I think they're going to have to go a little slower at the end of this upwind leg. Oh, no, they have to do another manoeuvre. So it's actually a pretty big lead for Spain. Bear in mind here, no one has lost the lead from Mark 1. Yeah. The Bons Flying Rouge currently have. Spain are really quick because in the other races they've been in the pack and they've moved up to near contention. They've got themselves somewhere near the front of the course and they are absolutely lit up like a Christmas tree out of that top gate there. They are flying down the course. More breeze, cutting the distance. At
gate number 5, Stevie, we talk about consistency being the winning formula here in SailGP. If you look at it right now, let's say Spain goes on to finish first or second. So for their first 3 races, they're going to be a 4-3-2 or 4-3-1. That is not terrible to open things up.
No, it's really good. And I think consistency is the key, but I think what's actually the key is I believe any of the teams in SailGP right now, tight moment here for North Star. Can he thread the needle?
Oh, Giles Scott, look at that.
Oh, that was pretty much surgical through there, wasn't it? Absolutely clinical by the Canadian team. Yeah, I think any team in the fleet can win a race. What differentiates your Bons Flying Rouge, your Los Gallos from the other teams is if they're 7th or 6th, they'll turn that into a 4th or a 3rd, what we'd call in sailing a solid one, a consistent counter. They'll work their way back through the fleet. A lot of the other teams, even Emirates GBR at the moment, when they're in the pack, they stay stuck in the pack.
Right now, Taylor Canfield and the US SailGP team are mired in 7th place. They're trying to pick up another spot, but this race is about done and dusted. And for the 3rd race, we've got our 3rd different winner. Give it up for the winners 2 years ago in Bermuda. The Emirates winning moment goes the way of the Spanish. Los Gallos take a bow.
Happy to go behind Italy.
And it'll be the Bonds Flying Roos that finish in second place. So the Australians, Stevie, other than that first race where they finished in 8th, they've got a first and a second also on their report card.
Yeah, really good. As we see Germany Deutsche Bank here, they've got the right of way on the inside. The Swiss have got a little slow, but they might have a chance to slingshot over the top. No, he's got wide, a bit loose on the Swiss boat. Eric Heil, brilliant tactical sailing on board that German boat there, and they re-accelerate, blast towards the finish line here. Another good one for the German team. They've put a couple of solid races in as well. As we see in the pack there, United States 7th, Emirates GBR 8th. Those two teams, they're real podium contenders, and they're struggling a bit. North Star, what a good reset by this Canadian team. They're sailing very, very well out here day one in Bermuda. Consistent results. Campbell James there, wing trimmer. Nice job, team. That's what you want to hear.
Might have to slow down here, guys, inside Canada. And slow down, yeah.
This is one the Americans won't want, Stevie. They finished 1st, 5th, and then they dropped back to 7th. And Emirates GBR, their woes continue. They finish in 8th place after a 7th in race number 2.
I think almost, yeah.
They really struggle. And then race number 1, they finished in 5th.
All right. We need to just stop getting in all this trouble.
Yeah. Yeah, I've got to agree with that comment from Emirates GBR Dylan there. You know, they're just getting a bit tangled up, a bit tied up. Often if you can have space and be away from boats, you get to use that boat speed, use all your basic skills. And Dylan said he's just found a few tricky moments.
Deja vu all over again, Stevie, as everyone kind of races towards the back end of the box, and then they kind of go for a reaction. Meanwhile, Taylor Canfield in the USA, they're going to play a little rope-a-dope and come in late.
Yeah, they are. As we look at the results over here on the left, Crucial, really good position. 3rd for North Star Canada, 22 points, right there with the Australians. USA in the mix again, Germany good. So there's a lot of teams really putting in some good results here. Yeah, USA have had a good strategy. Australia have been rock solid, consistent, being early back into the box. Emirates GBR, well, they need to get to part 1 in the fight to give themselves a chance at this. They've struggled with the start. They're late again here. They might be lining themselves up for what Peter Burling says was that late dive-through type start, but it's got risk associated. Left of picture, the Swiss. Middle back of the picture, the Los Gallos. They're going to look to find a gap. I love where the United States are again, though. Canfield somehow find a bit of space in amongst the mayhem. Whole fleets line themselves up towards the bottom of the line. Don't want to be trapped out like the last one. 13 seconds to go to the start. Rolex pole predictor sits on the top of the US wing. Can they execute from here? Bonds Flying Roos look perfect. Slingsby winds it up. He turns towards the start line. Look for the line to turn wide. What a start by the fleet. They're going wide now. It's a pure boat speed race. Expect Slingsby to drop the hammer over the top from here.
This is the umpires. Penalty Germany, window boat not keeping clear, go behind France.
But as they approach mark number 1, it was 3 wide, then 4 wide, now 5 wide, as Red Bull Italy on the inside tries to keep the Aussies away from the whole shot.
Oh, what a job by the Italian team there. Of course, they've got the old Australian wing trimmer, Carl Langford, on board that Italian boat. Super brave. As they enter this dotted line here, that's when the rules will change over and the Australians will be allowed to manoeuvre away from the boundary. Italy sets up to manoeuvre. Here goes Slingsby. Who's going to execute best? Look how flat the platform stayed there, Todd, and then they just lean it slightly on top of them, wind up the acceleration.
And Hannah, if it looks a little more crowded out there, it's because the French are back in the mix. They've picked up a sailor.
Yeah, that's right. They've got Australian reserve sailor Tom Needham on board, so a bit of a baptism of fire for him in that wing trimmer role. But they don't look to be doing too badly so far in the middle of the pack.
Yeah, what a day to be chopped in for the first day on the tools. Good luck, Tom. You possibly are going to need it. We'll look at this tight race as we come downwind here. They want to set up for a left turn on board Italy. The Australians are going to split away. They don't want to follow. So good news for Red Bull Italy if they can get... No, they're going to have to follow. None of them are making it down the course. Obviously, a slight change in the wind. Yeah, you can see that double manoeuvre for Italy. Don't think that's going to be good news. Australia have got a chance to make a gain as Emirates GBR up to 3rd.
Gate 2 in the final race of the day. Remember, there's 3 more fleet races tomorrow before the event final. Only the top 3 teams as everyone tries to get the sweet spot. We check in down on the water. Lisa Darmanin, how are things looking? Has the wind shifted, and where's the favored spot?
Yeah, so the wind's actually just died off a little bit. So you know how they were saying that they were a little bit out of control with a 24-meter wing? I think now that it's, you know, maybe closer to 25 kilometers per hour, this all-purpose wing's really coming into his own, but means that all those ley lines and boundary calls will be slightly different with the angles, but not too light, but still changes the game slightly.
Apologies if you heard any language at that gate. There's a very tight incident between Spain and Brazil. Big dial down through Mubadala, Brazil. They're unfortunately off the foils. They had the right of way as well. So a tight moment here. We see here they had to dive out the way of the Spanish. Look at right-hand side, Paul Goodison. He's absolutely hanging on to that side stay, holding the rig up. The double manoeuvre, boat out of the water, disaster. Not really their fault either. A little bit unfortunate, that one. Surprised there wasn't an incident called there. Red Bull Italy, though, well, they could do with a race win, and they look pretty good right now.
3 races, 3 different winners. USA won race number 1. The Bonds Flying Roos of Australia won race number 2. And Spain, Los Gallos, won race number 3. Can Phil Robertson and Red Bull Italy get it done here in race 4?
Yeah, I think the interesting, Hannah, don't you? You see right-hand side of screen, Los Gallos, they had a bit of a difficult downwind leg. They're sat in 8th. They could turn this into a 5th by the end of the race. I don't know if they can, but that to me would be an absolute power play.
Yeah, and you know, it's one of those things. If you can climb through the fleet, that can be so powerful. But for the boats that don't spend that much time at the front of the fleet, they understand at this point how much easier it is to sail the boat. But we do still see those mistakes creeping in. So Red Bull Italy, if they want to stay up in the 2nd place they're in at the moment, they're going to have to be really tight on all of their manoeuvres.
Lisa, the Australians seem to have found a bit of extra breeze on the right-hand side. They've made a big gain on Italy. So it's dropped a little bit, but is it still shiftier as you move further up the course?
Yeah, it's shifting, and there's sort of cloud lines come over the right-hand side, so it's playing with the course. It's only really 10 degrees difference, but you know, that can make the difference between not doing an extra maneuver, and that's hundreds of meters.
So the Bonds Flying Roos try to get 2 race wins out of 4 on day number 1, but you've got Phil Robertson, Kyle Langford on Red Bull Italy. They'll try to make some magic here in 2nd place and hope that Tom Slingsby and that star-studded cast, Stevie, make a mistake.
Yeah, I think if you're hoping for that, you're a dreamer. I'm not sure I'm going to see a mistake from the Australians. Emirates GBR have done a nice job in the pack, and same as well for the US team. They've worked through well. Surprised to hear about clouds in Bermuda. There weren't any when I was there. That is for sure. But yeah, nice manoeuvre here. And Italy, they just want to get a solid one in there. They've had a tough day on board that Italian boat. We see Rockwall here. They've managed to cut the corner. Huge gain by the Danish. They just sailed a big wind shift, saved a lot less distance, but they are slow. They're going to struggle to accelerate again. A lot of load on them. If you get slow, there's a lot more load in the rig. Look how fast Spain are on the inside. Los Gallos, I said if they could get to 5th, they're already 6th.
USA split the course. They currently sit in 4th place right now, just behind Emirates GBR, who have their best race so far this weekend, as they are up to 3rd place. Everyone, though, chasing the Bonds Flying Roos and Red Bull Italy.
Yeah, on board North Star. They're in 8th at the moment.
Down if you want it. Maybe not.
They've had a good weekend so far, but they need to turn this one into a solid keeper. They need to get somewhere near 6th if they can.
Turning, maybe gassy. Yours.
3 races, all top 5 finishes for Giles Scott and North Star Canada. Can they finish on a high note before they get ready for Super Sunday?
Hannah, was there ever a call on the British boat? If you're in the pack, how do you sort of keep the focus pointing in the right direction?
Well, I think the focus thing is really hard to keep when you're in the pack because there's so much going on. It's so hard to kind of get clarity of thought when you're in the pack, and that's the difference. When you're out in front, everything seems so much easier because you can see what's coming. You don't interact with any other boats as much. So the teams that can do that really well are so strong in these conditions.
Ian Jensen makes the cross. Tosh Bryant there. Strategist Tom Slingsby stays on the left-hand side, makes the turn. Jason Waterhouse in front of him, and now Slingsby will make the crossing.
Calm in the chaos, Todd. Like you having to work with us in here, isn't it? Staying calm when we're going off with these sailboat races. But there we go. Emirates GBR has split the course. That didn't go all that well for the other teams last time, but the British have got a chance to put the hammer down here. They've got a potential attack on the Italians. Australia, well, they're not shooting away from the fleet yet.
Just look at the difference in angle that they've been sailing compared to the Bonds Flying Roos and the Italians. They've been making much better progress up those ladder lines since they went around that gate mark.
Oh, but penalty. Oh, they pushed it
outside
wide.
the boundary.
We've said it all day, it's maybe getting a bit boring. All the teams will try and push the limits on that to try and save themselves further up the course. And they've got rid of the penalty pretty quickly. I think they got rid of it with a poor manoeuvre, but they've lost a place. They've opened the door for Canfield. Canfield's got it, Los Gallos here. They come. Dum, 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 dum. Right-hand side of screen, they're up to 5th. They are charging.
Those are the event standings on the left side of your screen. Remember, only the top 3 teams on points will make the event final at the end of tomorrow. Right now, it would be the Bons Flying Rouge, Los Gallos, and the US SailGP team that would be in the final.
Australia and Italy are in an absolute match race. Slingsby's not opening any door on the 2-time match race world champion, Phil Robertson. Look, he sat right in the same direction. They're both going the same way at the same time. They're both in phase, as we'd say at the moment, and potentially even a little bit of disturbed air from that Bons Flying Rouge wing, and that's turning into that 2-3 kilometres an hour boat speed difference that we can see on the Australians there. They're going to work their way up the course. This is a masterclass.
You know who'd like this fight? Our good friend Jimmy Spithill. I bet he's just frothing to be out there at the wheel, but he's got Phil Robertson now steering the boat for him and his Red Bull Italy team.
Yeah, I mean, I think Jimmy loved a match race, didn't he? He loved a fight, and he'll just love seeing this Italian boat at the front of the fleet. This is where a team like Red Bull Italy and the quality of sailors you've got in Italy and in and amongst that team, they would expect to be. Again, tough couple of events for them, but the real sprouts of gains here as we see Italy. They have the right of way. United States moving up through the fleet. The Rolex chasing time, so's at GBR are catching, but they've lost a place. They've dropped behind the US team here. Errors are costing them dearly at the moment, and they're only small ones, but at this level, small errors hurt. Oh, here comes Spain.
Good heavens.
Spain have the right of way. Emirates GBR must keep clear of the Spanish. Opens the door for Botin. He'll kick it down. Over. He's up to 4th.
He's going to pick up 2 spots.
Oh, he's a magician at the moment. They are so fast, and they're just picking their way through the fleet.
That you mentioned earlier about getting out of phase, Stevie, and I think it's one of the most powerful things you can do on a day like today. As we see the Spanish come round behind the Brits here, the Brits just deciding to put that manoeuvre on top of them. It just feels like the Spanish are able to look a little bit further up the course, whereas some of the other teams like GBR are just reacting a little bit more.
It's a SailGP flex as they got so close to you. I thought they might give it a high five.
Yeah, well, that was tight, but Hannah's point's bang on. I mean, I think any good sailing, it's to be proactive, not reactive. And that decision to manoeuvre there by the British, it was an odd place to manoeuvre because you know Spain are going to be over speed. You're just reacting to the situation. You're perhaps not playing the long game. And, well, Botin, he'll take advantage of it. But anyway, if you want a masterclass, here he comes, the crumpet.
The Bons Flying Rouge, for the 2nd time today, they win race number 2. They take a break in race number 3, but race number 4 belongs to the green and gold. The Bons Flying Rouge win race 4 here in Bermuda.
2 wins on a day, pretty good. But for the Bons Flying Rouge, it's almost half a day's work.
After their clean sweep on Super Sunday, 2 out of 4 seems kind of pedestrian for them. 2nd place will go to Red Bull Italy. Great job by Phil Robertson and his crew.
Yeah, brilliant result by the Italians. Tough day with some technical issues on the boat, and we saw that dramatic incident before the start, but brilliant start by Phil. We know Phil's always got that in there. Great day for the US team as well here. Really, really good day for the US.
GBR looked like they would be threatening for a top 3 position. They drop back, and they will finish in 5th, with Spain taking 4th place. So a good, consistent day for Los Gallos. Emirates GBR will finish in 5th place, with Switzerland in 6th and Germany Deutsche Bank in 7th.
I can't help you with that debrief. My Spanish is not quite up to it. But what I would say is, for anyone that wants to know how do you get to finals in SailGP, it's that. They turned an 8th into a 4th. That's one of the performances of the day in that race, even though they're only 4th. Slingsby starting today has been incredible, and he seems to have unlocked some secret with his starting at the moment.
Just when we thought North Star Canada might be in the mix, they finished in 8th, and it'll be Rockwell, Denmark in 9th. And France, Tom Needham thrown into the deep end as DS Team France. They will finish in 10th.
They'll finish in 10th. They'll get a point, though. So, you know, they're grabbing points there. He's really done a great job of getting back into that. Nice job, Tom. That was impressive to jump on board in that situation.
This is race number 5 as all the teams get into position. Hannah Diamond, where would you like to be right now?
Well, I think we saw from yesterday, being the top end of the line can make it quite hard to get down to Mark 1, but a very different start line position today. So getting ahead is going to be important, but finding space in the line to accelerate is going to be key.
And with 40 seconds to go, the dance begins for race number 5 as we kick off the final day of racing here at the Apex Group Bermuda Sail Grand Prix. Stevie, here we go. They wind it up. This is the calm before the chaos.
Yeah, good positioning by the Swiss team at the moment. They've got the Rolex pole predictor on them. United States, he's been the starting master, but he's a little bit trapped at the moment. De La Pierre, bottom of our screen on the French boat, looks well set up. Top of the line, it's the Spanish. I think those two boats are the ones that are going to potentially find the space. Spain are foiling at the top. They're going to come in fast. 12 seconds to go. Favour positions in the middle of the line. France are well positioned. Spain are well positioned. It's all about the wind up and the strike now. Here we go. 4 seconds to go. Watch for the line to turn right. Botin looks perfect. Oh, the Spanish, we said they needed to start better today, and wow, hallelujah, what a start by Los Gallos at the top of the line. They're going to have a faster angle. Can they convert to lead at Mark 1?
And they are the defending champions from 2 years ago, Los Gallos, Spain, with a great start to kick off Super Sunday.
That's a big lead that's going to turn into, I think. French haven't had a good day starting, but they're back in it. Brilliant work by them. Dave Gilmore stepped in on the wing. What a performance by him so far. But for Spain, I've got them pegged as the absolute favourite in these kind of breezes, and they look good. Have a look at Canada, Artemis, and Denmark out the back. I think this upwind end of the course, if you fall off the foils there, there's not a lot of wind to get going again.
That's my angle.
So the Bons Flying Roos and Spain coming to this one as the overall leaders.
This is the umpires. Penalty Germany, windward boat not keeping clear, go behind Brazil.
There's the action on the cross for Spain. Look how smooth that is.
Yeah, I mean, it's really, see how flat it is, but you see there is big errors if you make a mistake. Middle of the screen there, Emirates GBR, they've fallen off the foils in a manoeuvre. That's been the story of their last few events, really. A few unforced errors that we're not used to seeing. They've been so perfect. And I think we're going to learn a bit about the course down here, Todd. Emirates GBR, we're back on board with them. They'll calm things down.
Getting a bit tricky around the race course, eh?
Lisa did mention a general drop in the breeze. I think that's what Dylan will mean when he says tricky when he hammer it. As soon as it drops, it gets harder.
Yeah, that's right. And I think there's quite big holes in the breeze as well. So you can be in good pressure 1 minute, and then if you go too far in one direction, then you can fall out. You can see here we've got some arrows on the course there. So the red and the yellow sort of signifies more wind, with the lighter areas of pressure being signified by some green and blue arrows. So helping us visualize where the best pressure is on the course.
And right now, unlike yesterday, it looks like Spain's going to opt for the right side of the course. Remember, yesterday it was that left side of the DP World Gate, gate number 2, and Los Gallos and Diego Botin, their driver, will spin it around and head back.
Yeah, they weren't perfect with their ley line in there. They came a little bit narrow. France are going to have a nicer exit here, a bit faster, wide in, tight out, just like you're driving a car around a racetrack there. Beautiful exit by the French. That'll be a small gain to the French, but it's a big, big lead at the moment. 10 seconds ahead the Spanish boat at gate 2. That's a big lead. And look how far these first 3 boats have gone. I think the story of the day will be how you convert an 8th, something like that, into a good result. These 3 boats should be able to keep it simple and extend to a good result.
This is leg 3 of 6 in race number 5, the first race of the day. We got 3 fleet races scheduled for you. Right now it is Spain, France, and Australia 1, 2, and 3. We go down on the water. Lisa Darmanin, why the big gap between the first 3 boats and the rest of the fleet?
It really is a combination of getting out in front and being able to execute. So those first 3 boats, they were able to sail in clear air and they executed their maneuvers. The ones in the back, it obviously the wind evaporates once the F50s go past it. So they had a bit more pressure on to get that foiling maneuver in. And when these smaller foils, you know, we're right on the edge whether that's enough lift. So the pressure in the maneuvers is higher than ever. But the key to this is going to be obviously about optimizing the F50, but also extending those boundaries and trying to minimize maneuvers.
All right, thank you, Lisa. As we continue on the racing, Quentin De La Pierre, DS Team France, starting to close in there on the leaders. Spain, Los Gallos out in front still with the Australians, Bons Flying Roos in 3rd, and Emirates GBR doing a nice job currently in 4th.
I think what you're going to see here is it kind of gives away when a team's going to attack, because they need to build speed before they do that maneuver. So we can see there France just maneuvering behind the Spanish boat. The Spanish boat are now building speed. They need to get up to more like 52, 53 kilometers an hour before they can commit to that attack to guarantee they're going to stay on the foils all the way through that maneuver.
Yeah, right of way France in the middle there. Dave Gilmore's doing a very good job on the wing trim for that French boat to come in and do that, but we can see at the moment, I think the key as well is how you set up the bottom of the course. You get as wide as possible early on, because at the top it's going to be very important you don't have to manoeuvre. Look at the Oracle Cloud there, and we see Spain 100%. And they're not maybe foiling quite as high as some of the other teams, but they're looking for total consistency rather than if you push it up towards 1 metre, 1.2 where Australia are now. Well, that's Jason Waterhouse absolutely pushing the limit. 1.1 is about as high as you can go safely.
So we'll continue to crunch the numbers. Remember, it's the top 3 teams after today's 3 fleet races that will race in a winner-take-all 3-boat final here in Bermuda.
Okay, set up for a manoeuvre. Let's watch the Los Gallos perform that. Tricky performing a manoeuvre right under the top gate here. They're fast in. Will they stay on the foils? So you're going to keep above 30, you'll be safe. 32 maybe. Beautiful by the Spanish there. They're very, very silky in these conditions. Here we go.
Just a little one here.
Really nicely positioned. I think the game's in the pack, isn't it? 9th place USA. Canada in 12th. North Star Canada had a brilliant first day. Looked like they got the wheels back on the wagon on the first day, but they're going to need to work their way through the fleet.
Stevie, you know how much I hate agreeing with you and saying you're right, but you did spot this a couple days ago in practice in Bermuda, saying Spain just looked faster to you.
I feel like, and I can back it up by looking up in the numbers, Australia and Spain are just consistently sailing the boat faster, that their accuracy on the manoeuvres is better. We talked to Diego yesterday and said, oh, you seem to be doing the basics very well, and he said, yeah, it's really, really hard to do the basics. And I think, you know, you're racing the best people in the world, you make little mistakes and you get punished for it. But we can see here, Emirates GBR, well, mistake after Mark 1, but they're back up to 4th, encouraging signs for the British team.
I think there's quite a lot of opportunity on this course. I think if you get ahead, it's easier, but you cannot afford to make any mistakes. There are holes in the breeze, so it is possible to fall off the foil. And even, like the Bonds Flying Roos here, they're just getting behind Denmark there. You come into traffic quite quickly, so you have to be clean. You have to keep picking your lane around the course. But it's not as though you can get ahead and guarantee that you'll stay there.
On the left side of your screen, there's how it is right now. Those would be the top 3 teams going into the event final, still with 2 more races to go. So you've got Los Gallos Spain, the Bonds Flying Roos of Australia, and the US SailGP team. But look how close Germany, Great Britain, Canada even in the mix still, with an opportunity with 2 races to go after this one before the field is cut down to the final 3. Massive lead right now for Los Gallos. They are out in front by more than 200 meters here on leg 4 of 6.
It's just the things to watch at home is how sort of level and stable the platform stays. They've got the boat leaning towards the side of the boat there on the whole time. What does that do? It just gives you a little bit more righting moment. Righting moment's horsepower. So the more horsepower you can get, the harder you can push, basically. And they're sailing it right on the edge, but just so consistently. That's where the gains are coming. And I think when we look in the pack, you know, Emirates GBR, we're going to see this race for 3rd. That's going to be the story of the day here, because at the moment, as you said, Todd, there's 5 or 6 boats that are going to be right in this with a good result here.
A penalty coming up for Artemis, and Sweden cannot afford that as the Australians make their way cleanly through the DP World Gate. Nice work there by Tom Slingsby as they come through, and right behind them, Content Delapierre and DS Team France.
Nice push this way.
I mean, Dave Gilmore, I don't want to keep going on about it, but these boats are so technical, and to come in and take over the wing trim, that was a really slick rounding there. And obviously Contan and Jason, you know, are so slick in their roles as flight controller and driver on board the boat, but still looks very, very stable there. As we see, looking into the pack, USA, they're fallen well back. Emirates GBR have moved forward through the fleet, so it's going to be the tale of managing to convert an average race into a good one.
The Australians have now picked up a penalty.
That's like the professional foul, isn't it, Hannah? They're trying to get as wide as possible early on the course to then make the top of the course easier to sail. Lisa Darmanin will probably see that down in the water. Lisa, your Australians pushing the limit on the rules there to maximise the width of the course early.
Well, I think the previous one, they skimmed the boundary by about 5 meters. So I don't know if it was completely intentional, but they're definitely pushing the limits, because that previous lap, they were able to do 1 less maneuver, and that's how they overtook the French. So everyone's pushing to the limit, whether that's the right height or the boundaries. That's how you're going to win out here at SailGP. But, you know, Los Gallos just look so smooth and sailing their own race and running away with it here.
No question about it. The Spanish are way out in front on the final leg here as they cross over. And everything has just gone textbook to them, not riding the boat, as Stevie pointed out, as high, but they've got a massive lead right now, and they are on their way to a big victory here in race number 5, the first race on Super Sunday.
See a huge Huge split in the fleet for the first 3 boats. They're gone down the road, first 4 even really, as we see the Bonds Flying Rouge. They're coming back across a long, long way behind the Spanish though. They just look so fast. And this is quite a big racetrack. The racetrack in Rio, the racetrack in Sydney, yes, we had lighter winds, yes, it was a bit gusty and shifty, it was smaller. You got a chance to open your accelerator, feed some fuel in, and just show how fast it can go. And right now, that Spanish boat is looking beautifully sailed.
Well, of all the beautiful views in Bermuda, this is the finest one for a sailor, and right now it is Los Gallos. They are staring down at the finish line here in race number 5. Los Gallos, Spain, the winners here 2 years ago, have started off their campaign on Super Sunday with a massive victory, which will put them ahead of the Bonds Flying Rouge, who they were tied with coming into today, and they will cruise to the finish as Los Gallos will pick up the victory in race number 5. And the Emirates winning moment will go the way of the Spanish.
Good start, and of course, you know, the thing that's important to remember is the top 3 boats will go into that winner-takes-all race. So it doesn't matter if Spain and Australia are 15, 20 points ahead of everyone else. The 3rd place boat's still going to get 1 shot at taking the event win. So for France, for Emirates GBR, and for, you know, teams like North Star Canada, USA, who are having a tough one here in the first race of the Sunday here, they can get to the final. They'll be right in with a shot to win this event.
Bonds Flying Rouge will slot into 2nd place, so they'll continue to add points to them. So Stevie, this has got to think, and Hannah, it's got to be almost a lock now for Spain and Australia because of the points they amassed coming into today, and now they pick up another 10 and 9 points respectively.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to know when these teams kind of switch from that focus from racing the fleet races to then actually trying to understand the course better for that final. But I think you've got to be picking up confidence if you're still winning races on day 2.
Yeah, here we go, Artemis, big move here, middle of our screen. They're going to enter that circle. They have the right of way on Emirates GBR. Very difficult manoeuvre coming for Artemis here. They've got to stay falling if they want to be ahead of the Brits.
So France will pick up 3rd, and now the battle on for those very valuable points. And remember, both these teams trying to punch their ticket. Artemis probably not going to get there, but really slows down Emirates GBR.
They just stay foiling though, Todd. Magic. Well, always is he foiling? Isn't he foiling? Oh, that's a bit of age and experience there. Draper gave a little pump out on the wing, unloaded the boat there, and it just popped back up. Draper and Maloney, they've got a few hours on the tools there, and that was magic work getting that Swedish boat back on the foils.
This is the umpires. Penalty Denmark, not giving room at the boundary. We go behind USA.
So it'll be Emirates GBR that will salvage 5th place. That'll be some valuable points for them. More importantly, the US finishes way back, so that will help their cause indeed. And then you have the Italians coming in 6th, and then it'll be Explorer Switzerland in 7th.
Todd, I think seeing Artemis get that 4th place, it's a special weekend, sad weekend for a lot of the sailing community. Andrew Bart Simpson, he was part of the Artemis team, lost his life unfortunately, and we remember him, the Andrew Simpson Sailing Foundation. This is the weekend where we remember him.
Thank you, Stevie. Mubadala, Brazil now finishes in 8th, and it'll be Germany in 9th place. As we go down on the water, and Spain, the big winners on the first race of the day in Super Sunday, we chat with Diego Botín. Diego, what a way to start off Super Sunday. How did you find that start box with the extra boats that were out there today? A full 12 inside a very chaotic start box.
Yeah, well, it's obviously that we're tagging high to the fleet, and all the fleet tagged quite early, and yeah, the top was open and we got a good angle into Mark 1.
Diego, appreciate the time. Wish you the best of luck in the next 2 races. We'll get back to work. Meanwhile, we'll turn our attention back out on the water. The USA, Stevie, we always say you could have one bad race. This might be theirs. This has to be theirs, Hannes, because they cannot afford another bad race outside the top 6.
Yeah, that's right. Really tough race for them. So they're going to have to pick it up for the next race and see what they can do.
So the USA will come in 10th place. They will pick up a lone point. 11th place will go to Rockwell, Denmark. They will finish off in 11th. Back in beautiful Bermuda, we are 45 seconds away from race number 6, the penultimate race, with one more fleet race to go. Everyone trying to accumulate as many points as possible. Right now, it is Spain out in front. The Australians sit in 2nd. The Americans holding on to that 3rd and final transfer spot into the event final. But the Germans, Great Britain and Canada are nipping at their heels. And here we go, Stevie. The dance begins. Where would you like to be?
Well, look at the bottom left-hand corner of the screen. We've got 16.2 kilometres an hour. It's dropped off a little bit, but they should be able to up on the foils. I love where the Bonds Flying Roos are at the moment. Massive amount of space. North Star are coming through. If they're not too late, North Star are well positioned. Top of the line's going to close down for the Spanish here. Italy are going to have control of that. Rockwell Denmark come through the middle. Rolex pole predictors on the Swiss. They need a win in this race. Here we go. Line's going to go wide. Bonds Flying Roos are on fire. Oh, Slingsby's on fire out of this start. He's fast and he's going to be blasting forward on the fleet. Less distance to sail, clean foiling. Going to be a great lead for the Aussies at Mark 1. Can North Star get their wheels back on again and race towards that final? Artemis, top of the line there, left-hand side of the screen. They were way out the back, but got foiling, and they've rolled over the top as well. Foiling is key now. The breeze has dropped right off. It's marginal conditions, Todd.
At mark number 1, it is the Bonds Flying Roos in this heavyweight bout as they counter Los Giles' win in the last race, and it is Tom Slingsby and the Australians out in front to grab the whole shot. Giles Scott and North Star Canada sit in second place, and then there's a herd of athletes all trying to track them down.
Yeah, huge for North Star, Todd. Huge moment for the Canadian team here. They need a good result if they're going to get to that final, and this could really do some good work up the fleet with Spain.
They got shut out at the line.
Spain got shut out. They looked like they were going to be shut out early. The whole fleet had migrated up a little bit. How well do the Aussies execute here?
Manoeuvre looked really easy there. They're going to have some boats tight on their hip there. I think the course has opened up a little bit here, so we'll see some boats manoeuvring early to try and find some better pressure. We should see some more manoeuvres before they get down to gate 2, but a huge moment for North Star Canada being at the front of the pack here.
Yeah, look at that replay, bottom right there. We see the Spanish, they're just not entitled to room in there. So Diego hey, possibly could have seen that he wasn't going to get in a bit earlier and then maybe slowed up a bit earlier and come through later, a bit like Artemis did. Anyway, easier said than done, isn't it? But yeah, heroes in one race, zeros in this one right now.
Save the asset as Diego Botín in Spain just hit a quick U-turn and they reset, so they find themselves at the back of the pack. We'll keep an eye on that, see how fast they work their way up through the fleet. But right now, it is all Bonds Flying Roos.
Fast here, guys. We feel quite low on the foil here, guys. Adding some milk.
So he's just saying, let's make sure we keep the speed in the boat. I think as soon as it goes a bit lighter, you've got to drive the boat, push it. Good leadership there from Giles, getting his voice, keeping it positive on board. But yeah, lift the boat a bit higher, but to do that, you've got to keep the boat going fast. Good result for the Swiss at the moment as well. So it could really do some change into the overall leaderboard here.
And there is Giles Scott and North Star Canada, two-time Olympic gold medalist in the Finn class, always with a calm voice. They've got North Star Canada in the conversation. Can they get big points here and move into the top 3?
Well set for the moment in that race to the final, I'd imagine, points-wise, because they were right in the mix. And the British back in 7th. Rockwell, Denmark, they're in the pack in 5th, but they need to really make some points now. And USA, look, middle of our screen. Well, the US are having a disappointing one. Here we go, event standings right now.
Oh,
North Star Canada, that battle of the North Americans there. It'll be the Canadians that just sneak in, but we've still got another fleet race after this one to do.
These are the kind of conditions here where you don't want to have too many manoeuvres back to back. The risk here is if you compress your manoeuvres too close together, you end up falling off the foil. Looks really light out of that manoeuvre there for Emirates GBR.
Dylan Fletcher at the wheel for Emirates GBR, Season 5 champions. He's also an Olympic gold medalist.
Lisa, when the breeze starts dropping off like this, how much do the sailors get nervous about the foil selection and being on these high-speed boards?
Well, the thing is, the decision is made so early in the morning that you kind of know what you're going to get. And yesterday, the issue we had is they had too much power in the 24-metre wing. So, we're right on edge. But with this upgrade with the T-foils that we've seen over the last 12 months, they are, even though we're a little bit under spec, they are incredible. They get a little bit more glide than the old L-foils. So the teams that have really nailed those T-foils and know how to optimise them seem like the teams that are getting away with it today.
We come back on board the Canadians. Well, they've definitely found the space. I just think the real priorities: find space, get clear wind. Because if someone's blocking your wind, you've got less potential horsepower. So the key is finding space. North Star have tried to manoeuvre early. Slightly odd place to manoeuvre there, but maybe they're seeing more breeze in the water. I thought they might have stretched all the way towards the ley line to try and make them up with no more. Yeah, I think you are out of phase, Giles, unfortunately. They're going to have a bit of a struggle here. Just would have pushed a bit wider if it was me. Sailed up towards that ley line. Just tried to follow Australia in. Keep it a bit simple.
And 2-1, rounding up.
think it kind of shows that the day type sort of changed a little bit. Normally we see these boats really push all the way to the boundaries, but when the shift range gets a little bit bigger, when that wind direction changes a little bit more, there are more options, which opens the door to tap in the middle of the course, but it means you have to be right with your decision making.
As we can see here, Artemis. Oh, and this is Artemis and North Star. Oh, that's definitely going to be a penalty on Artemis, but it'll be cleared off instantly because it'll just be a lead change penalty. Maybe pushing a little bit harder. Got to get
this
calm
is the
again.
umpires. Penalty Sweden, port attack boat not keeping clear. Go behind Canada.
Yeah,
Penalty clear.
Not going to hurt them, you see. That's the trouble with that one. And then North Star, by rushing that manoeuvre, they're now off the foils. So they've dropped back in the pack, but they've dropped back to 4th. These points will be crucial. The Swiss here will get themselves in with a chance of it. The USA team, they're up to 7th, Todd.
More importantly, they're up to 7. They are 2 spots ahead of Emirates GBR, but the team they need to worry about right now is Canada, who currently hold down that 3rd and final transfer position. Remember, after the 7 fleet races, only the top 3 teams on points will move on to the winner-take-all event final here in Bermuda.
Yeah, they're off the foils here. We see we're on board with North Star here, and you see they've got the right of way, but they end up pushing a little bit close, and then they maybe have to spin a bit quick. I mean, maybe not to be fair, but they just end up off the foils, and they're still paying the consequence of that right now.
Big runner off.
Yeah, that was a big sort of rush tack. It got a little bit messy at the top, and I think if you get messy at the top, you're going to pay for the next 2-3 minutes to try and get yourself back on the foils, build your speed again. But we can see it's easier said than done. USA,
this is like the market.
Britain, they're all right back in the pack, so no one wants to get in this final top.
Stock up, stock down right now for the USA. To stock down, they got themselves into 7th place, as you noted just moments ago, Stevie. They quickly have dropped back to 10th, and Emirates GBR is going with them. They sit in 9th.
And Spain, who looked absolutely imperious in the race before, they looked almost unplayable, and they're in last place. So yeah, it's not an easy day out there, but it's made an awful lot easier if you can execute a good start. Yeah, Canada still off the foils, Todd. This is a nightmare for North Star.
One wing. Yeah, one hard.
Well, with North Star unable to get up on the foils, and now they've got one hole in the air. That's great news, not only for the USA, but for Germany Deutsche Bank, who now find themselves in that 3rd and final transfer position.
Yeah, this was hard to watch, isn't it? As we see the Swiss as well, they're having a good one. They're right, they're going to have a shot going into this final race. Explorer Swiss, well, new branding, new livery on that Swiss boat, and well, this is the new look Swiss boat as well. They're performing really well in these lighter conditions.
Explorer Swiss, Sebastian Schneider at the wheel, a 3-time Olympian, 12 national titles to his credit as he tries to get his team into a position. They're currently in 5th overall. Right now, everyone is still chasing the team out in front, the Bonds Flying Roos.
Yeah, I love this Oracle Cloud stuff, Hannah. Look at that Deutsche Bank 10th to 5th. I mean, that ability to overtake so hard, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's so much easier when you're ahead, but that ability to climb your way through the fleet, that can save your regatta. I don't really feel like we've seen Germany Deutsche Bank that much at the front this weekend, but they've just been really consistent, picking their way through the fleet, sailing really nicely.
And coming up in 3, dip back, 2.
Eric Kosegarten-Heil in his 3rd season with the team. There they are, coming in right there in the center of your screen. They'll make the right-hand turn at the DP World Gate. They currently sit in 6th place, 1 spot ahead of Phil Robertson and Red Bull Italy.
Yeah, I mean, you know, Eric is a 2-time Olympic 49er bronze medalist there. We see Canada have gone all the way back to 12th. They were 2nd halfway up that beat. Spain are getting themselves back into a point-scoring position, and USA are potentially going to drop out of the points here, or they might just hang on to 10th. But it just shows you mistakes in these conditions hammer you, and the reality is Canada made a mistake, and the punishment, I think, is a bit harsh for the mistake. It wasn't very much of a little error. They came with the foils, but they just did it in the wrong place at the wrong time. And
Canada, just moments ago, we were talking about Canada being in the top 3, and to Stevie's points, they are now not even close to it, as they sit on 25 points. That will put them in 8th overall.
I think I'd be feeling pretty hard done by if I was on the Canadian team right now. Just, they were fouled by Artemis, and it's just no chance to get back on the foil from where they were.
Here comes the Bonds Flying Roos. They are having no problems out there today. They got the whole shot. They led at mark number 1, and they bring it home not only for the win here, but the Emirates winning moment for the 3rd time goes the way of the Bonds Flying Roos at the Apex Group Bermuda Sail Grand Prix.
Yeah, great positioning there, but the start for Australia, they look well set up with about a minute to go. That possibly would have been a relatively relaxed feeling start for Slingsby, that one. He would have known from early he was well placed. As we see now, this is a real battle. Emirates GBR, Red Bull Italy, Skyos the US, all of them are potentially going to be in with a shot at the final, but all of them making it hard for themselves. The German team have done well. Spain, it's not such a disaster for Spain, like as you sort of alluded to beforehand. They've got 1 foot in the final already, really. But for the Swiss, this second place here, Explorer Swiss bringing it home across the finish line in second, massive result for them. That on the points will give them a shot. One more of those in the next race and they'll have a real shot of making the final here in Bermuda.
Funny thing about momentum, as it starts to build for some of these teams, you've got Explorer Swiss and the Bonds Flying Roos safely in here in race number 6 as the rest of the teams try to scrap for the final points that are available before we enter the third and final race of the day. It looks like France is going to hold on for third.
At least I'm quite interested. A lot of the teams seem to be doing a lot of manoeuvres at the top and not just pushing wide to that sort of starboard ley line, the right-hand ley line. Is there a reason? Is there a lot less wind over there or something?
Yeah, the wind is changing quite dramatically. These clouds come over. It's getting a little bit dark and stormy as the day goes on, so it becomes more fickle, more patchy, and you've got to just find the breeze. It's almost worth sailing more manoeuvres to make sure you're in pressure for that final approach.
Okay, Lisa, well, there's at least 2 more races before you can get that Gosling's dark and stormy, and I can assure you of that, but the breeze looks pretty good.
So here comes Germany. They will secure a top 5 position as they cross the line, and they now have a firm grasp on a top 3 position with 1 race to go. Rockwell, Denmark will come in. They will finish in 6th place, and now the battle is really on. Now, this is where it gets exciting, and Hannah, you're going to crunch some numbers with us. We're going to figure this thing out because you've got Red Bull Italy coming in. Looks like they've got a firm control of 7th place, but then it's Emirates GBR, it's the USA, and it's also Spain still in the mix.
Yeah, I think there's a lot riding on this next race, isn't there? And it's not necessarily the easiest day today to make sure that you're at the front of the fleet. So the team's going to have to debrief quickly and work out what their strategy is for the next race.
Looks like Red Bull Italy will hold on for 7th place, and look at this trio. It's Emirates GBR, Los Gallos Spain, and the US SailGP team all scrambling for points.
Yeah, it's really tight, isn't it? Emirates GBR are going to be able to hold everyone up high. I don't think any of those teams will be able to get to the foil quite. It's going to be a case of just getting the H1 and tickling it across the finish line. Emirates GBR, they do get it done. 8th, Spain in 9th, and US SailGP team, well, that's bad, but God,
1 point.
You've got to feel for North Star.
Yeah.
I mean, that I say should have been a second. I don't think you can ever say it should have been anything, but they had every opportunity for that to be a really good result.
So Hannah, this is big pressure now for Eric Coastguard and Heil and Germany Deutsche Bank. They've got to perform not only in this race, but they got to make sure this start absolutely sticks when that line goes white.
Yeah, that's right. And the start is so important, so lining up well is going to be key.
So here we go, the final minute here on the final fleet race, and then the field will be cut to just the top 3. There is the leaderboard as it stands right now. The USA is 3 points behind Germany. So, Hannah, by my math, the Americans have to finish ahead of Germany and hope that someone finishes in between them.
And it's quite a tricky day for that. You've got to be able to sail your own boat really well, and it's very hard to control the others. So I don't envy the position they're in right now.
All right, Stevie, here we go. This will be a little chaotic. The wind has dropped off just a little bit, but this is going to be a good one. Early back to the line is Denmark.
Yeah, Wimro's bottom left-hand corner is showing us 15.2, so that's 1 kilometre down on the last one. They're all comfortably forward from there. It shows the US having the Rolex pole predictor, but I don't see how they're going to wiggle through from there. Again, I like where the Bonds Flying Roos are. Germany, Deutsche Bank should be foiling at the gun. Top of the line, Rottwell early to me. Emirates GBR up and foiling. Here come the Germans. Eric Heil could have this one lined up. He winds it up at the bottom of the line. Beautiful by the Germans.
Early start penalty, Denmark.
Yeah, they looked early for a long way out there. That's
Delayed
our
starters,
umpire
Switzerland,
booth.
France, Sweden.
Rockwool team don't have to drop behind those delayed starters, France and Switzerland. Switzerland, disaster in their race to the final, but this could be the moment that this German team get back to the form we saw at the end of the 2025 season. Magic start by Eric Heil just when he needed it, and look who's bearing down over the shoulder. It's the Aussies, it's the Spanish, the big guns are coming to play.
Could be a preview of what we'll see in the final at mark number 1. It is Germany Deutsche Bank that gets the whole shot with the Bonds Flying Roos in second. Here comes Giles Scott and North Star Canada and Los Gallos Spain on the outside.
It's going to be hard for the Canadians there. They're going to start to get the disturbed wind off the Spanish, and you're going to then have to think about manoeuvring back into some more disturbed wind. So got to be a little bit patient after Mark 1, accelerate away from that disturbed wind, and then get yourself going. Germany now, it's a case of execution. Can you stay calm when you just know that good basics are going to get you in the final? But that's easier said than done.
I think they would have been happier to manoeuvre a little bit earlier there and just make sure they're right in front of the Australians.
See there, so look at the points. At the moment, Germany are in by a long shot, but we are early in the race. Crucial positioning is where you can get to gate 2. USA struggling a little bit here. North Star Canada, well, they were really good at Mark 1, but they've possibly fallen off the foils. They still show us 4th. They are foiling again, but those first 3 boats are gone down the road. Right-hand corner there, 65 kilometers an hour. Well, compared to a boat that's not foiling, which will be doing less than 30, you're doing double the speed. Massive gains for those first 3 boats.
As they approach the DP World Gate, gate number 2, it is still Germany Deutsche Bank out in front, but look how fast the Bonds Flying Roos are coming in, and they will split the course.
So this right now, Hannah, this is dress rehearsal of the final, isn't it? Because these 3 are gone. They're basically racing each other right now, so we could learn an awful lot about what might play out in that final race.
Yeah, and I think if you're the Australians or the Spanish, you're definitely into kind of learning the course. They're so confident in these conditions. I think for the Germans, they're just going to have to sail really cleanly, make sure they don't drop off the foil, make any stupid mistakes, because they're still there having to fight for that position.
So Lisa, down on the water, how much will we see any kind of wind change in the course of the next 20, 30 minutes? Because the final is coming up after this race concludes. So are they getting a really a dress rehearsal, as Stevie said, of what the conditions will be like as well?
I'm not expecting the wind to drop too much, but what I'm expecting to do is become more variable. So it's already becoming more challenging, more patchy throughout the course, and that's only going to get more. The only positive for the final is less boats on the race course, so less disturbed air, but yeah, it's still going to be fantastic racing for the F50s, and we wanted to make it a little bit difficult for them.
So it is Germany out in front, Australia and Spain, the top 3, and right now on the points, that is how it stands with those 3 teams in the top 3 positions. Stevie, I look at the US SailGP team, they had such a great first day. Remember, they won the first race of the day. In race number 2, they finished in 5th. In race number 3, they dropped back to 7th, but in race 4, bounced back nicely to finish in 3rd, but Super Sunday has not gone their way.
No, I mean, you know, the reality of the US SailGP team at the moment is they're fantastic starters. When they get out in front, they genuinely do well. If you look at the stats, they don't overtake boats. So pretty much where they get to Mark 1 is where they end up. Now, they've had Taylor Canfield, who's been an absolute rock star starter all season so far, but he's maybe not had his best day. I don't think he's had a bad day, but he's just not been sort of brilliant as he has on other events. And as of yet, they're not great at overtaking boats and moving through the fleet. The Germans here have overtaken a lot of boats this regatta. They've been good at finding that space on the racecourse and converting a bad one into a half-decent one or a good one, as they are right now.
Spain has overtaken the Bonds Flying Roos as they will pick up those points if they can maintain that position. But tell you what, Hannah, this is going to be a fantastic final with tricky wind conditions, as Lisa Darman has reported. But these 3 teams, you just think the way Germany is sailing, they've got a lot of momentum here on Sunday.
Yeah, they do, and I mean, that start was a great example of that. They really nailed their time and distance at the bottom of the line. I think if you look really closely, you can see a few more wobbles on the German boat compared to the Aussies and the Spanish, but you know, they've got a fantastic lead at the moment.
Stevie, if they win this race, the 7th race, the final race of the fleet, it will be the 3 winners today on Super Sunday that will square off in the final.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be all on. I mean, at least I sort of alluded to it, there'll be less boats on the ground. So I still kind of like the Spanish. They've not had 2 very good starts. I still think they've just made an overtake on the Bonds Flying Roos here. Bonds Flying Roos missed the manoeuvre, and I still think Spain, if they can get off the start line, are pretty quick. But yeah, I mean, the Germans are sailing great. What was interesting on the points, it'll be interesting to see where, here we go, great, perfect timing. So yes, those 3 look through, but if you look at 4th, all the way down to 8th, there's just 2 points in it. Now, we think of this is a race to the grand final in Abu Dhabi, yeah? So you're getting points all season. There's nothing in it, and these points, they're 4th overall for Canada here for North Star, would be a massive result if they could get it.
Spain picking up a penalty there. Just to your point, Spain's worst performance all weekend is 9th. And that came in the last race where they finished in race number 6. Had a problem at the start, obviously getting shut out. But 9th, you could throw that one away and say the rest of the weekend was a huge success.
Yeah, I mean, you know, any of the top 3. If you get to the top 3, it's great. But you've got to remember as well that should North Star get home in 4th, they've actually started really well. They'd started quite poorly early season. You know, they'll be thinking, okay, we've made some huge gains here. Of course, you want to be in the top 3, and they'll rue that moment in race
with Artemis.
Yeah, the race before, you know, where they fell off the foils. But that's the game you're playing, isn't it? And I just think for Emirates GBR, you know, maybe not the imperious form we've seen, but they're back in the game a little bit. But you've got to start analysing what are Australia and Spain doing, because they're just making finals relentlessly.
Stand by.
So they take you on board Emirates GBR, the defending champions from last year who started the season off so well. But ever since Brazil, Stevie, they have not been the same team. Hannah, this is your former team. Showed some good signs there today. They started off with a 5th place, then they bounced back with an 8th on this 6th race, excuse me, and then here they are currently sitting in 5th. So that would be their best performance, equaling what they did the first race.
Yeah, I mean, I think they'll be disappointed with this weekend, but like Stevie said, it's all about racing to the grand final at the end of the season. So working out any demons that you might have with some venues or sailing the boat and just keep them going, really.
So it's Australia, Spain, and Germany right now. There you see the points, a massive lead for the Germans ahead of Emirates GBR, who are 9 points back. So barring a major penalty, those will be the 3 that will face off in the final race today here at the Apex Group Bermuda Sail Grand Prix.
Yeah, well, you know, I think this is, we're looking at a very clinical performance. Kevin Peppenay, the wing trimmer, come in this season. This will be the first time he's made a final with the German team, so it'll be a really good bonding experience for this team. They started the season, you know, perhaps inevitably with some crew changes, a little bit off where they were at the end of season 5. But this is the team we were seeing towards the end of last year. So very promising signs for them, because they're sailing away from the 2-class boats in the fleet right now.
It's gonna be some gas on the tack. Let's press hard.
Just got a couple of boats coming in.
1, 2, 1. Probably a choice.
Going quite slowly into this manoeuvre here. The Germans at the top of the screen on that right-hand boundary. It'll be interesting to see whether they do manage to... No, I think there was no chance they were going to stay on the foil out of that manoeuvre.
Yeah, neutral depth.
I think they're far enough ahead in time. Yeah, they'll be able to stay relatively calm and still be pretty good for the final.
We go up. Stay H1, there's no foiling in the gas.
Real battle in the right-hand side of our screen for 2nd and 3rd. We see Slingsby wound the speed up, nails the foiling manoeuvre, splits away from the Spanish. So 1 manoeuvre left for the Australians, it should be. Los Gaias are going to have to do 2 perfect manoeuvres if they hope to stay ahead of the Aussies. Okay, he's going to spin the boat here. We heard Diego there, way faster turn. They're going to go off the right-hand corner of our screen. They're going to come slingshotting back on. Watch this boat turn.
1, turning. It's way better.
Oh, hang on.
He warned him.
Well, he liked it, didn't he? Way better. He loved it. He loved that fast turn. So they're learning on the job, coaching around the course. Of course, the coaches can talk to them. So you've got to be getting better. You've got to be learning these adaptable conditions, Han.
Well, I think one of the conclusions from yesterday was the Spanish generally rotate the boat a little bit slower than some of the others. So the fact that they're able to adapt today, I think is really important. They have to keep learning as they go.
As they come to the line in the 7th and final fleet race here in Bermuda, take a bow, Germany, Deutsche Bank. Eric, Coastal Garten Highland Company, you win the final race here and punch your ticket into the event final. Your Emirates winning moment goes the way of the Germans.
I think that's a really good job by Eric. Anna Bart at the back there, strategist, you know, picking your way through this big fleet. But now, of course, it's going to look a little bit like this. We've had a 3-boat race almost in this one, and then the rest have been some way back. And I think they've got to reset now for the final. You expect all teams to be able to have a perfect start because there's not many people blocking. So it'll be a real test of strength in this one. Because it's the first time we've seen the Aussies make a couple of handling mistakes. A couple of manoeuvres weren't perfect.
I like Lisa's point down on the water. It's going to be interesting. The conditions should be nearly the same, but only 3 boats, Stevie. There's nowhere to hide. Bond's Flying Ruse will finish with a solid 3rd place, and they are in as well.
Yeah, another final for the Aussies.
Yep.
All right, it's not maybe the perfect day, but you've only got to go and win this next race, and it'll feel pretty perfect.
I'll tell you what could have been, when you look at North Star Canada, they're going to come across and finish in 4th place. They were in the bracket. We saw them on the left side of our screen in the top 3 position, but that one maneuver, that one incident with Artemis cost them. They'll finish 4th here in race 7.
They will, but this is more like the North Star Canada we expected to see in season 6. So, yeah, they should be disappointed about that one race, and they'll be gutted not to be in the final, but they should leave here now thinking, okay, right, we've got some good learnings.
Yep.
We're better, we've shown people what we're all about. Let's move on for the rest of the season.
Just staying high here.
Yeah, it's unfortunate for them on Super Sunday, Canada finishing 12th back-to-back in races 5 and 6 before getting his 4th here in race number 7.
As I say, it can be tight on the overall points. Remember that, you know, that those overall points at this event of who finishes third, well, we know third, but who finishes fourth, fifth, sixth, all the way down, those points are absolutely crucial. So Emirates GBR might have salvaged a half-decent weekend here, despite still not sailing at the, well, the incredible level and expectation that they've set for us. And the Swiss, look at that, they're back through the fleet. They were out the back early on, got that boat going fast.
So it'll be Emirates GBR that comes across the line in 5th place, and Explorer Swiss will come in at 6th place. And the Americans really slow down here on this last leg. It looks like Red Bull Italy and DS Team France will drop right in front of them.
Wait up now. Popping into on popping here. Nice comeback, huh?
So the Swiss do come across the line. Good performance for them in 6th place. Right behind them, Red Bull Italy and DS Team France in 8th place, with the Americans finishing in 9th. So all the fleet racing is now complete, and we have our 3 contenders for the event final. Welcome, Germany. Deutsche Bank, they have not been in a final since Cadiz last season. All right, here we go. 50 seconds to go before the line goes white. This is the event final of the Apex Group Bermuda Sail Grand Prix here on the Great Sound, the Rolex SailGP Championship. It's Australia, it's Germany, and it's Spain.
Skyhouse move back here. They manoeuvre towards the line. We'll see where they all shape up with 30 seconds to go. Deutsche Bank were the first ones to manoeuvre to the line. Spain wanted to have a bit of space. Now, there is going to be a tight start here. I quite like where the Bonds Flying Roos are. At the moment, the hunted are the Germans. They have the Rolex pole predictor on them, but I think they're there to be shot at. Australia and the Bonds Flying Roos look well positioned. Here come the Spanish. Big move by Bottini. He winds it up over the top. 14 seconds to go. It's all about your timing now. Who's going to get that right? The Rolex pole predictor starts on the master, Tom Slingsby. He winds it up towards the line. Watch for them to turn it left. They all put the bow down. Speed's coming. Who's got it right? Beautiful by all 3 teams, but on the inside, I think it's going to be Tom Slingsby that's going to lead at Mark 1. He said it's going to be a boat speed race. Right, what do you got now, Los Gallas? Can you charge him down?
The heavyweight bout continues. Australia and Spain going toe-to-toe as they approach mark number 1. And look at the Bonds Flying Roos, plenty of room.
Yeah, it's got a big lead here, but I think the big thing, the big race here, there is space, there is more clear air. Don't let the Australians just sail away. Right. Stay with them, wait for the mistake, push, keep making the right decision.
The decision's going to be whether you race the boats or whether you race the course. I think Tom alluded to the fact that there's more open space here, but the choice for Los Gallas is going to be, do you put pressure by just staying close to them, or do you make a strategic decision and split away from them?
Here it is. Spain's going to make the first move. Germany's going to go with them.
Yeah, I think they'll all match here. I think the crucial one's going to be gate 2. I think when they get to this next gate, Australia obviously will have the first pick. Right. So given that you've got, you know, Tom Slingsby, Tash Bryant at the back of the boat, they're used to making good decisions. So they're going to have a look at where's the most wind, how do we sail the less distance. They'll make that choice. Now, if it's an obvious decision, Spain will have to follow. But if it's even, if it's 50-50, that'll be when you roll the dice on board the Spanish boat.
As they approach gate number 2, the DP World Gate, we check in down on the water with Lisa Darman. And Lisa, is this a race where one mistake is going to determine the winner?
I think so. I mean, the Spanish and the Australians haven't made many mistakes all day, so I'm not sure we're going to see that being out in front is the key, but with the gate bias, that could save you 50, 100 metres. So as the wind changes, you might be able to make little gains there, so that's what you should be looking out for.
And Steve, are you surprised that everyone's opting for that lower gate? I mean, Spain and Germany are all going to follow the Australians.
Well, no, because I think they would have looked at that and said it's definitely better to turn right. So you don't ever win anything by obviously doing the wrong thing. You've got to be relentless. Now, the Spanish here, this could be a mistake. They got a little slow. They waited a bit too long for that manoeuvre. If Australia stay foiling, this will be a massive gain. Magic numbers 30. Can Waterhouse keep it up? Looks like he's going to keep it on the foils here. He's done it.
Look at the different angles.
Well, the Spanish have popped back on the foil quickly. Amazing work by Joel Rodriguez there, the flight controller. When they come back together, the Spanish will have the right of way. Spain are fast. They've got the hammer down, but the Aussies are back up to speed now. I think what we're seeing right at the moment is these top 2 boats have dropped the hammer. They're moving away, they're going fast. Look at how the boats are lent on top of them. They've got the windward hull close to the water. Windage is the thing. Spain are almost looking like they're throwing a lot of manoeuvres at them early here, Hannah.
Yeah, I think the thing that I've noticed, the difference between these two boats, the Spanish boat speed never drops quite as much as some of the others within the manoeuvre, but their top speed isn't quite as high as the Australians. So it's interesting to see how that plays out through the rest of the race.
Go. Well, now we've got a big split, Todd, okay? So this is the first roll of the dice by the Spanish. Had they stayed with the Australians, then they'd have definitely been following them to the next gate, probably having to sail in disturbed wind. So now it's a little bit on Mother Nature.
It's just so smooth the way they operate. Jason Waterhouse, Tom Slingsby, Ian Jensen. Perfection.
That was really slick, that manoeuvre. Look how much they've got the boat lent over, so much they're pushing for extra horsepower.
Let's go down on the water. She's the closest to the action. Lisa Darmanin, what do you like? Look into your crystal ball. Who made the right call on that leg?
Well, the Australians, they push wide early on, which means they're going to lay in one here, and I think that they're going to make a huge gain, whereas Los Gallos, they're going to want to turn left because that's the bias, but it's going to cost them a lot. It's a really tricky manoeuvre to pull off.
See there, can't you, Hannah? It looks so much closer to the one the Australia's going round.
Yeah, that's right, and it's even harder to pull off that manoeuvre that Los Gallos are going to have to do if they want to turn left, because they've actually dropped one crew member since the last race. There's only 5 people on board. You lose one of the grinders, so you've got fewer options with the wing trimming.
Now, this is a desperation move by the Spanish here, Todd. They're doing definitely the wrong thing. It doesn't mean it won't work out if they get lucky and they get a gust of wind, but this is the roll of the dice, because if they knew if they just stayed there, they're definitely going to be second, maybe third. This is a full roll of the dice by the Spanish. Have they found some magic?
They're rocking her in.
I'm right.
Yeah, happy to roll this down.
Yeah, doesn't look great their way. Doesn't look amazing ours either.
Ever the optimist, Tom. Don't know if you've ever watched Winnie the Pooh, but it's a bit like Eeyore being on the back of the boat, I think, in that moment there.
Debbie Downer.
Yeah, well, come on, Tom.
Look at that.
Up. Anyway.
And to Lisa's point, look at the gain.
Yeah, huge, massive gain
200
there for the
meters.
Bond's Flying Ruse, and now it's just a case of setting up for a nice right turn at the bottom, leading out that way, keep the boat fast, and you're going to bring it home 2 in a row for the Australians, I'd say, from here. But mistakes can happen. They just don't tend to happen often on that Australian boat.
And that's the view from Germany Deutsche Bank as they look to the rest of the field. Good battle now for second place as the Bond's Flying Ruse have nearly 200 meters on everyone else. But look how fast the Germans are coming in at 65, 66 kilometers an hour.
Yeah, setting the fast angle to get behind. We're going to have a split at the bottom between those two, but it's really a race for second and third, I think, now, Hannah.
Yeah, it is, and that's really tightened up. I think we've seen a couple of times Los Gallos, they've taken that other gate option in finals, and it's done really well for them, but obviously it wasn't to be this time.
They don't often do well doing what is definitely wrong.
Yeah, I think especially on a course like this where there are quite a lot of nodes, the breeze is shifting, it's changing a little bit, but not too much. There are definitely different race courses where you'd be happier to take that chance. We know a little bit more about this course, and it was always going to be a bit of a punt from their part.
So it's a 14-second lead as they went through the last gate for the Bond's Flying Ruse, the winners of the last event, looking to make it 2 for 2.
The manoeuvring's just good. They made a couple of sloppy errors in the last race, but again, see the tilt on the platform there? That's just showing quite how aggressively they're sailing the boat. Jason Waterhouse that were in there, he's on the coffee grinders there. Little movement forward with his right hand, little movement back. That's lift off the foil, lift on the foil, lift off, lift on. Constantly just adjusting, anticipating what the boat's going to do next.
Copy. Sail at 48.
Unbelievable. Look at the dexterity on it.
Letting it tick off.
Hey, coming righty now. Coming righty now.
Perfect phase with the wind. So they're just saying the wind's coming round towards that right-hand side. So if we just sail out this way a little bit, we'll be able to manoeuvre. We'll minimise some distance because the shift gives us less distance to sail. So they're perfectly lined up with the wind shifts.
Ooh, tight crossing in the back. So the battle is now on for second place between Spain and Germany Deutsche Bank. And Germany Deutsche Bank coming on fast.
Well, and if Australia are right and the wind is turning to the right, that's good news for Germany because they're heading where the Australians are. So potentially here the Germans are going to move themselves up to second.
I don't know what Lisa Darmanin said to Tom Slingsby before that final race, but whatever she said, it put a bee in his bonnet. He is off and flying.
Todd, Whatever this almanac that Ryan Reynolds found one event ago about sailing from 1856 or something like that, that's got some serious gold dust in it, because that has completely revolutionised it. Ben Durham, the coach, I think, sat ashore with that right now, reading out the details. This Australian team's just looks so good. Massive improvement in their performance.
Must have found a load of cats in Rio and now in Bermuda, because right now it is all about the Bonds Flying Ruse, and with a win here, this is going to give them a massive lead in the overall here as event number 5 comes to a conclusion, and it will be the Bonds Flying Ruse, this final maneuver here with one hole in the water but plenty of time to burn.
Right of way Germany. Spain are not quite in that circle. They would love to be in that circle to have the right of way. They've got to keep clear. Germany need to stay on the foil. Spain manoeuvres in front. Great positioning by Botin. He's going to try. Oh, that is brilliant by Botin. What a manoeuvre. Glided it in front.
But in the end, the Emirates winning moment for the second event in a row goes to the Bonds Flying Ruse. The green and gold reigns supreme in Bermuda.
What a result there. Spain did a good job for a second, but wow, the Bonds Flying Ruse just on fire.
Well, it's about what you thought, Stevie, as we were looking at practice and some of the numbers earlier this week. Spain looked fast, and you called it. They're going to be in the final. Germany may be the biggest surprise, but a great learning experience for a team that continues to get better.
Well, fantastic. 2 events in a row, getting better. Brilliant news for Germany, Deutsche Bank.
But in the end, no one could match the strength and the speed of the Bonds Flying Ruse with their co-owner, Ryan Reynolds, here in Bermuda. It is the Australians that win the event.